Do you like tips? Here are 109 Apex Legends tips to give you an edge in game and improve instantly. You can open a supply bin and climb on the lower half from the back for an easy and effective head glitch, meaning that only your head is visible for the enemy. While you do this, do not face the bin, otherwise your character will climb. You can look sideways and hold left or right input to not initiate a climbing animation. If you're unsure about whether you are aiming at a person or an object, ping it. If the ping turns red, it's an enemy player. Also, enemies pinged this way will display differently in the kill feed, with the word enemy being in a different color. Bind your enemy ping to a key that you're not using. F, for example. Now you can spam ping, which will help your teammates react to the pings or check if something is in the zone. Sometimes it's hard to see what's in the zone when you're planning out a rotation and you're just looking at the map. To counteract this, you can always ping good rocks or spaces in front of you and then verify if the ping is in the zone or not by looking at the map. Instead of switching your guns to see if they are reloaded, you can open your inventory and see that way. Only keep a gun in your hands if you are certain that you will shoot within the next 1 second. Otherwise, try to keep your hands out so you can move around faster. Carry grenades. Make sure to carry at least 2 grenades for every backpack upgrade. Unless you're fused, then carry as many as you want. Talk and communicate what you are doing, what you should be doing, and if you are the leader, what your teammates should be doing as well. This is even more important if you're playing ranked. Don't be toxic. You don't gain anything from being toxic. All you're doing is ruining your own mindset, and you're ruining your teammates' mindset, and everyone just loses out. Don't play guns with the same purpose. For example, the 301 and the flatline serve the same purpose. They're mid to long range. Instead, play a close range weapon combined with a mid or a long range weapon instead. For the sake of your economy, it's also in your best interest to keep a single fire weapon such as a wingman or a shotgun alongside an automatic, and try to avoid keeping 2 automatic weapons simultaneously, unless you're on controller, then it doesn't matter. Keep in mind that the information that you have as a player that you can communicate to your teammates is usually more valuable than the shots that you can shoot. Always try to open your mouth and speak more instead of just focusing on shooting the enemy. You can aim train 15 minutes after you wake up and 15 minutes before going to bed for the best results. Don't copy settings from other players, pro streamers or whatever. Develop settings that fit you and your playstyle. If you are on controller, anything less than 4.3 or higher than 6.5 is just a really bad sensitivity. Gold shield is always better than the blue shield, but it's only better than the purple shield if you have a lot of cells and not a lot of bats, and it's never better than a red shield. When you get a gold shield, drop your batteries to your teammates and let them give you cells. The same goes with medkits and syringes. Don't be afraid of the zone. It will not kill you. Or well, it does less damage than the enemy. If you reload with 1 or more bullets, you will reload faster. Even if you're a new player, try to play ranked as soon as you can. You can't lose RP in rookie, and usually just by being a brand new player, you can grind at least to silver. If you want to get better quick by playing, make sure to fight a lot, which does involve dropping with other people and fighting as soon as you can. Keep in mind though, this only works if you have a chance of actually winning your fights. If it's too difficult and you lose more than 90% of your fights without even getting a scratch on your enemies, try to drop a little bit smarter. Learn how to play more than one character. Knowing how to play more legends will make it easier to understand how to play around them on your team and against them if you face them on the other teams. Don't waste time doing the firing range minigames. If your goal is to train your aim, use an aim trainer instead. When using the aim trainer, and I thought everyone knew this, use the same sensitivity as you used in the game that you play. Also make sure that your FOV and FPS are the same. Don't always scan the beacon just because. You can very often get shot while scanning. Don't always just go into the ring. You have to account for teams being able to go behind you as well. Make sure that any team that happens to come from behind you can't just kill you. And if they can, do not move until you know there isn't anyone that can come in from behind. If you are afraid of getting contested, leaving the dropship and dropping later can raise your chances of not getting a contest. Don't contest people on drop unless you want to. You should always prefer to be able to loot whatever you want to avoid RP losses. Ranked is generally about mitigating risks, and taking a contest, no matter how good you are and no matter how much you sugarcoat it, will always be a 50-50. If you're taking a fight, try swapping your weapon as it is faster than reloading. When you down someone and finish, their armor on the box will be fully healed and you can take it. This is called a shield swap. Don't do finishers mid-combat. 99% of the time, you are better off going for firsting your knock by juking the enemy shield and hot swapping. You can pull a finisher if you're in a situation where the enemy has a worse armor than you have and you need to replenish your armor, and if you are 200% sure that nobody will cancel you. You have specific bindings for specific healing items. So don't use heals by opening your inventory and clicking it. Either use the healing wheel or use the keybind 4, 5, 6, or 8 on your keyboard. Make sure to move while looting. And you're gonna say, I'm a controller, I can't do it. If you're a controller, there is a tiny workaround. Start interacting and right before the menu opens, you jump. This gives you a tiny bit of movement at the very least. When you're reviving a teammate after a fight, the other person who might be alive on your team drops a full armor on the ground for the revive guy to pick up, and after that, he can heal or loot. You actually don't need to get a single kill to win a game. Pick your fights wisely and do not fight everyone just because you can. When jumping out of the dropship, ping where you're going to drop and split from your jump master. Do not ever drop at the same building unless you're contesting and both teams drop on the same spot. Split out across the POI and split the loot evenly. Start looting away from each other and loot towards each other. When somebody gets knocked, he always needs to put his knockdown shield up. You can then crouch behind his shield and play behind it because it is bigger than your hitbox while crouched and is basically a movable barrier that you can play around. Make sure to learn what all the legends do. You don't have to master or know how to play them, but you need to know how they work. And to aid you with that, I've got a technical guide on every single legend in the game, so just check out the channel if you want to learn more. Stop caring about attachments. All that you really need is the extended mag. Barrel stabilizers, stocks, and whatnot just serve as a handicap. The only thing that makes your gun better is the extended magazine. Stop running around looting forever. Killing people and looting their death boxes is way better. Let them loot for you. Make sure to learn how to wall jump over walls, how to tap strafe, and all mechanics with zip lines. I'll link a beginner's movement guide in the description, but I'll also add it to the video so you can click it at the very end. When you're shooting, make sure to move. While you are moving, you want to have a general idea of what you're doing. Don't just blindly go left, right, up, and center. Instead of just running in one direction, you want to try to go back and forth and try not to do it in a pattern. So instead, try to switch up your rhythm. You do a few turns fast and then a few turns slow. If the enemy can detect your rhythm or your pattern, they can beam you that much easier. Always be one step close to a cover. And if you're playing cover, a good rule of thumb is to keep 2/3 of the screen covered. Trigger discipline is important. Shooting everyone isn't really that good. Even if you can, and if you are going to push someone, sneaking towards them and shooting them from much closer is that much better than just shooting them from far away and then giving away your position before getting closer. Stop using all your grenades to deal damage. That's what your guns are for. Use grenades to deny area and to force people out of cover. Other than a few exceptions, such as a charge rifle and headshots with some weapons, there is no damage drop off, so feel free to shoot people very far away. It will do the same damage as very close. Learn the slide jump timing and make sure to slide jump everywhere. This allows you to rotate faster than just running in a straight line. Don't play the same purpose legends. Gibraltar, Newcastle, and Lifeline are all the same type of revive support, and they serve the same purpose, so don't combine them. Remember to use the crafter. It is absolutely overpowered. When crafting with your team, make sure that one person crafts on all 3 sides as 2 people watch and make sure nobody runs up, and then you switch. You can drop your gun when crafting ammo, and then it will only craft the ammo for the one gun that you have equipped, which saves you half the crafting materials and allows you to get more ammo. This is especially useful if your secondary is a shotgun because you really only need 1 stack. Don't carry more than 6 batteries and more than 12 cells. In the end game, try to trade your batteries for shield cells and make sure to keep at least 1 stack of cells. You can actually melee people, it deals 30 damage and it knocks them back. When you kick doors, after the kick, hold the side input button and jump. This stops you from standing in the middle of the doorway like an idiot once the door is destroyed. Make sure to see which spots have the crafter and which spots have the beacon while in the ship and plan your game accordingly. When shooting, don't look at your crosshair, look past it at your enemies and try to learn where the middle of your screen is. The perfect timing to get the most out of your medkit in round 1 and round 2 is 1 tick after the HP was under the gap between the first and the second shield. Zone 1 and Zone 2 doesn't do as much damage as you think. Don't panic. Sometimes the enemy will actually do more damage, which means that sometimes you can look for extra loot, you can look for heals, and even craft to stay out of the zone and make a longer rotation into safety, especially if a team is trying to hold you out. To see if you're in the zone before the gas has arrived, take a look at the map and look whether the white circle on that map is flashing. If it is, you're not safe. If the circle is not flashing and is a static color, wherever you are, you will be safe once gas arrives. Game endings will keep rotating, which means that if you once had an ending on a specific location, it might and probably will happen again in the next few days. There are a limited amount of endings and it will repeat among those for an undisclosed amount of time, after which point a fresh batch of endings are brought into the mix. When in top 3, do not engage in a full fight, unless you are certain that you can reset before the third party comes in. Otherwise, just wait until the fight and try to play positioning if you have to. You can actually punch your teammates as well as your downed teammates. If you crouch when punching, this will give you even more range range and allows you to punch them behind cover to revive and stabilize. Always be aware of where your teammates are by looking at the minimap. Try not to have your calls too simple by calling left or right, because everyone's sides are different, especially in the middle of a chaotic team fight. Try to call something more specific, such as that tree, that car, or a direction like west, east, north, or south. You can stick the tridents with an arc, and it will hit everyone driving the car, and it will also temporarily disable it. Learn how to read the kill feed and pay attention to the squad count. If you're playing trios, every squad has obviously 3 people alive. If it's 4 squads and 10 people alive, you can guess it's either 1 solo or 2 duos alive. This is pretty important because it can lead to you getting free kills. Keep in mind that putting the 1x on certain guns, like a 301, will actually unzoom the gun because the iron sight zooms in more than the sight. Make sure to use pay-to-win skins mainly for the Wingman, R99, and the Peacekeeper, but if you want more information about pay-to-win skins, animations, and more, make sure to check out the video that I've linked in the description. There is an orange line on your minimap that shows you the fastest way to the safe zone if you're not in it already. If you want to climb on top of a roof, you can open a door outside, climb the door, and then climb on top of the door to climb even higher. When you are climbing a door, don't climb on the side of them, it's much harder than the front. All characters move at the same speed, even if the running animation looks a little bit different. You can actually go out of bounds. As of now, there's a 15-second timer, and if it runs out, you will die. If you're able to leave out of bounds before it runs out, nothing happens, and you cannot use any abilities or attacks, including grenades, while the timer is ticking. But you can still abuse this to make some pretty large rotations. Death boxes are color-coded too. You can tell what the highest rarity item in the box is based on the color of the box. Guns are color-coded by ammo type on your HUD, so you can look at them in the bottom right and it will quickly show you what ammo you use so you can pick it up faster. You can also tell if you crack somebody's shield. If you deal a little bit less than a crack, or if you do crack someone, make sure to call it for your teammates. Always pre-pick the heal that you're most likely to use on the healing wheel. You can do the same with grenades. Either by pressing G to switch, or opening inventory, clicking the grenade, and then holstering again. As for your healing item, you'd have to hold the healing wheel and let go. Every gun upon pickup has a full magazine worth of ammo, obviously except for the L-Star. If you're completely out of bullets, that means that you can pick up a replacement from the ground to replenish your magazine instantly. If you kill 1 or 2 of a team and the last teammate runs away, chances are he will come back to pick up the banners. You can camp on the box and wait for him for a free kill. Equipment auto attaches to guns if you have the space. The game doesn't let you pick up worse attachments, so you can just keep spamming the attachments that you find. If you want to pick up an item that isn't an upgrade to your weapon, you can pick it up with the alternative interact bind, which you can find in your settings. Again, the game doesn't let you pick worse equipment than you have, so feel free to pick up everything. Just make sure your inventory isn't full with things that you don't actually need. Don't take too much ammo. More than 4 stacks per automatic gun is overdoing it. You can pick all kinds of stuff in game, even the type of ammo in your inventory to tell your allies that you're in need of that specific ammo. The same way you can ping ammo or gear on the ground to tell your allies if it's available. You can do a zipline jump by interacting and instantly jumping afterwards, which is a great way to take high ground instantly. Kick the side of a wall before jumping down from a great height to cancel fall stun. When dropping from the ship, you can cancel your landing animation by purposefully crashing into a texture, wall, or anything, and it will send you down freefall speed. You can use this to drop sooner than your opponents. If you want to melee someone, make sure to jump kick. The animation is much faster. You can actually disable hit markers in the settings. It will give you less clutter on your screen. If you throw a grenade straight up, it will explode right when it hits the ground. You can experiment with the trajectory of the grenade to do sky nades, which will deal instant 100 damage the second it hits an enemy. If you have a down enemy on the ground that you want to finish, start going in circles. If the enemy is following you, start trying to strafe left, right to get an angle behind their knockdown shield. If they somehow manage to predict your strafing, change it up one more time and strafe to the left, to the right, and then juke the left strafe, but then instantly strafe to the right again. You can also start a finisher, then stop it, and he might not be able to pull up his shield the second time, and this gives you a free finish. There are 2 Easter eggs in the firing range. You can turn on third person, which is a good way to check how your strafing looks like, and you can enable the dummies to have them shoot back at you, which is better for warming up than just standing still. Instead of just swapping your armor when you need a new armor, make sure to drop your armor on the ground and then pick another from the box and leave the previous armor on the ground, so when a team comes, all you have to do is look down, interact, and you're healed up. If your own armor happens to be destroyed, you can also use this to bait enemies. Utilizing your scroll wheel jump is great for bunny hops, zip jumps, and wall jumps. Binding your interact key is great for spamming interact when you're contesting, and you can also bind the scroll wheel to tap strafe. But you can only have 2 of these bound at a time, so pick 2 and bind them. Personally, I suggest binding the scroll wheel for tap strafing and for jumping. When taking zip lines, aim to the left and the right, because this will make you move around the zip line and harder to hit. When you are in a bubble fight, do not play inside of the bubble. Use the wall of the bubble to peek in and out. You can also wait for your opponent to peek, and you don't have to do anything if you are at a disadvantage. If you put an armor in the crafter, it will heal it. If you crouch down and you look down, this will make your character model shorter and less prone prone to having your head stick out. If you're behind a crafting material pickup thingy, always pick them up, as you can see through the material box when the materials aren't in it. And if there is an enemy and they didn't pick them up, they cannot see through it. Don't bind anything to your mouse's side buttons. If you have to, only bind it to things you do when you aren't shooting, such as meleeing, opening the map, or anything like that. You don't want to put additional pressure on your mouse when aiming. Are you healing and your equipped gun is not reloaded? Open your inventory and switch them. Then after you finish healing, you'll have the other one in your hand without any animation. I don't suggest using toggling crouch, but you still want to keep it bound, because you can spam toggle crouch to crouch while respawning someone at a beacon. Full screen usually gives better performance than full screen windowed. Always turn sprint view shake to minimal and FOV ability scaling to disabled. And of course, make sure to disable taking damage closest dev box menu. And that's all of the tips. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like and the subscribe. And as I promised, if you want to learn more about movement, check out the video on the screen. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.